Hello there, what's going on? Pete Moriarty here. Great to have you here with me. We help businesses systemize, organize, and scale using Google Workspace and a number of other tech tools. So if you're joining me on the live, please say hello. Make sure you say hi. If you're joining me on the replay, drop down a hashtag repeat. It is great to have you here. And in this stream, what I'm going to be covering is a whole bunch of community questions. I've got a number of questions all lined up. So I'm ready to go. I'm just going to go ahead and open my slides here. And I'm going to try and answer as many customer questions as possible as I can in our next little moment. Okay, so let me go ahead and open it up. Now, if you're new to the channel, if you don't know who we are and what we do, we help organizations with Google Workspace and other tech. I'm a firm believer that entrepreneurship and business is the greatest path to freedom. And so I want to help business owners, entrepreneurs, and business leaders all over the world have more freedom in their life. And whether that's building a more successful team, whether that's building more profit in your business, whether that's helping you to have more flexibility in the way that you work or the way that your team works, we believe that happier teams create a happier world. And we're trying to help do our bit to create that. And so that's what this is all about. If you haven't already checked out our channel, head along to IT Genius, and there's heaps of videos on both technology and business and the intersection between the two of those. Now, our mission, let me find the right page there. Our mission is all about helping small businesses play a bigger game. And we work with larger organizations as well, but primarily we work with small businesses. And my passion is really in helping small business owners to succeed. Now, how do we do that? We use something called the Growth Roadmap, which is the different stages of technology adoption at different stages of business that we've seen from working with literally thousands of businesses over the years. And we help navigate those changes and those different stages of growth for different businesses. And so at each different area of growth in your business, you're going to need different kinds of tech. You're going to need different types of security, different types of management frameworks inside the business. And so we're all about helping you navigate that as you go along. But without further ado, let's actually jump into some of the questions that we have from customers here. I've picked out a bunch from our channel and from our comments. And remember that you can always drop a question down below any one of our videos, including our live videos. And if you're interested in joining our free community for business owners, you can jump onto the link down below this video and jump into our Google Workspace community. So first question is from Satvia, and this question is, it looks like it is related to a plugin or some kind of error that happened on her computer. So I had a Chromebook, and they actually had some kind of extension with a weird name installed. It was written in Chinese. They've done a backup. They've done a power wash. And basically, they are concerned that someone may have got access to their data. Now, it's a little bit hard to say what may have happened exactly with that particular plugin, because it could have been something that slipped through the the Play Store or the Google add-ons marketplace and actually found its way into Chrome with some kind of malicious access. That can happen. It is also hard to say exactly where that data may have been sent if some of your data has been compromised. Now, you already did the right thing. You were concerned about your security with a particular plugin, and so you decided to power wash your Chrome device, which is basically a complete reboot. It's the equivalent to reinstalling Mac OS or Windows operating system, and that's wonderful. But can you know whether or not something actually happened to the actual machine, and whether or not something actually happened to your data? Could someone have copied? This person is asking about music, visuals, or anything else. Well, what I would say is that anyone who's trying to get access to your data, or anyone who's trying to maliciously access anything on your computer, they are most likely looking for your personal information. They probably don't care very much about your music library, and they probably don't care very much about, what you've got in your spreadsheets, your profit and loss statements, those kind of things. They don't really care about that. What they more likely are looking for is your personal information, so they can impersonate you and, pretend to be you and try and call your bank. Or they can, potentially get access to funds through your business, either through yourself or through someone else, usually by pretending to be you on email and emailing somebody else and asking them to do a legitimate wire transfer. And that's how these scams kind of start. Someone gets into one part of your life and, they may get a password. They might find their way into another part of your life. Or if they compromise one of your business email systems, then they can potentially, send you an email and say, hey, Mr. CEO of the company, I need you to make this urgent transfer. You go ahead and make the transfer. and then all of a sudden you're sending money off to someone that you don't know. Now, the beauty of a solution like Google Workspace is that you can enable two-factor authentication right across all of your accounts as a policy. And what that means is that even if someone has a compromised account, whether that be someone's guessed their password or someone's found some way of kind of hacking in, typically the account's going to be locked down with a second-factor device, whether that is a mobile phone, whether it's a code generator app, or some other form of a second factor. And what that means is it's less likely for someone to be able to get access to your data. So if, like this person, you are concerned about your data privacy and you're potentially worried about someone gaining access to your business data, well, the best thing that you can do is make sure that two-factor authentication is switched on for your account, and even better, make sure that it's switched on for your whole company. You can actually set it as a policy, so it goes right across the whole business. And then the next thing that you probably want to do in this case, if you are potentially concerned about something like identity fraud, well, you might want to call your bank or financial institutions and just give them the heads up that you're concerned about potential suspicious activity on your account. Most financial organizations will have some kind of fraud protocol where you can kind of flag your account, and then they will actually, make sure that they keep a watch on things. So certainly keep watch on that. All right. Thanks so much for joining the live stream. We have a question here. How to make money off Google. Is that a real thing? You know what? That's not really my area of expertise. There are certainly bloggers and vloggers and people who do make money on Google. I don't know if people still make money just writing vlogs these days. But there are ways. That's not my area of expertise, though. But I appreciate you asking. Thank you. Okay, cool. All right, so let's move right along to our next question. Okay. Alan asks, I'm wondering if people have successfully moved from Sharepoint to Google Workspace, and were they satisfied? That could be a potential reason that people are keeping their Microsoft contract. And that's certainly a reason that people may keep a Microsoft contract. If right now you're using SharePoint and you want to make use of that for your business on an ongoing basis. But I would contend with you that I think Google can do pretty much everything that SharePoint can do. SharePoint can be used for a number of things. It can be used as a file repository. It can be used for workflow applications. And number three, it can also be used for file storage as well. And let's cover each one of those. So if you use it for an online intranet, which is where you store systems, processes, procedures, and how-tos for the business, then SharePoint is a great way of documenting how you do things in the business and giving your team resources. You might want to create an internal company wiki, or some other way of sharing resources online with your team. Now we use Google Sites for that, and I've talked about that a number of times on our channel, where inside Google Sites we've actually built out a intranet guide which has full onboarding for our team, all the systems and processes of our business, right down to all the individual processes that each team member needs in each team inside the company. And so that's what we use as an alternative to SharePoint, and we've had many hundreds of businesses migrate from SharePoint over to Google Sites for storing their systems and processes. Now, number two, I mentioned workflow. If you're interested in switching away from SharePoint's workflow features, well, then you probably want to use something like Google's App Script. And Google App Script actually allows you to create different apps inside a no-code environment or a low-code environment. Let me just open that up and show you what that looks like. All right, let's open it up here. Oh, sorry, I've got it wrong. App Sheet is what you want. So for that, you want to use Google's App Sheet. An App Sheet allows you to create apps using low code or no code. An App Sheet is basically designed not necessarily for the layperson, but let's say the tech-savvy kind of person to build apps for your team. And it allows you to create pretty cool workflows in here. Now, this is probably only appropriate if you've got a larger team, if you've got a growing business, and you're looking for more workflow automation inside the business. If you're after just like the very, very basics of team and project coordination, you could probably get by with just using a task management system and maybe some well-documented systems and processes inside your task system, like, for example, Asana potentially. But you want to keep it pretty basic there. But App Sheet is the next step up from there. Now, number 3, you can also use SharePoint as a file repository, and we use Google Drive for that. And so inside our Google Drive, we actually have this amazing feature called Shared Drives. And inside Shared Drives is basically all of the different areas of our business neatly organized and locked down per team. And so you can see here, if I want to go ahead and open up my Attract folder, which is our marketing team, all of the files for the marketing team sit here in one place that I can easily access, and they're available for everyone on the team. They all show up on everyone's local computers, and it means that they're accessible from every device as well. So that'd probably be the top 3 reasons that you may still be using SharePoint, and hopefully you can make use of Google's equivalents. We don't have many businesses that we help migrate from Microsoft over to Google still retain Microsoft licenses at the end of the day. If they do, it tends to be for Word and Excel if you've got some stickler staff that have not yet migrated all their documents over to the Google format. But over time, we find that most businesses will eventually go all in on Google and make Google their #1 operating system for everything that they're doing. All right. Hello again. Thank you so much for joining, Ali. Great to have you here from Denver, Colorado. Must be getting late in the evening there. I did this one in my afternoon so we can catch some of our European traffic. But wonderful to have you here. Thanks so much for joining in. Always love to have you here live. Okay. Next question. Asks, how do I change myself from a contributor to a manager in a shared drive? Because I'm the only one member in the shared drive and I don't know what to do. Okay, that's a good question, but it might actually be a little bit of a tough one to fix it. If you are only a contributor in a drive right now, you literally don't have the permission to elevate yourself to be an owner or a manager of that drive, unless you are the super administrator of the domain that shared drive sits under. But if you are just added as a collaborator, it could possibly be a shared drive that is shared from somewhere outside your company. And so what you can do is you can find where that shared drive is actually domiciled by opening up your shared drives in Google Drive. So let me show you how to do that. So if you go to your Google Drive and then you click onto shared drives, you'll see you've got all of your shared drives here for your company. But if you scroll down to the bottom of the list, you'll see that there are shared drives that you're a member of from other companies. And so what these are shared drives that actually exist inside the Google Workspace account of another domain. And it may be that the shared drive that you are a member of but not an owner of is actually from another domain. So that's probably the first place that I would check. Apart from that, what you would do is you would actually go and open up your Google Drive admin console. And I believe there is a way, I could be wrong, but let's go and try it out. I believe there's a way for you to actually see all of the shared drives inside your company. So I'm going to go and open up my apps. And then I'm going to open up Drive. And this is where I have my edit team just like edit out my silly mistakes if I get it wrong. Okay, cool. Let's see if we can find shared drives. All right, we've found them. I love it when I'm right. Okay, so here we have all the shared drives that have been created inside my company. And you can see that Richard has created one here, Nestor has created one here, Regina has created one here, Gypsy has created a couple here. And so these are all shared drives that I myself am not necessarily the owner of, but myself being a super administrator, I can actually open up, click the Manage Members button, and I can actually change any of those if I need to, even for those that I didn't create. Let's go to this one from Richard A. Test. I'm probably not a member of that one right now. If I wanted to add myself, I could just go ahead and add my email address, and that's going to allow me to be joined in there with whatever permission level I would like. So if right now you have access to a shared drive, but you are not actually the owner and you want to be the owner, you're either going to have to ask the owner from the domain name that owns it, ask a super administrator to add you, or you're going to need to be the super administrator for your own domain and actually repair that. Now, if you're stuck, if right now, maybe, I don't know, the old super administrator left your domain, or you don't know the password, or you need to try and reset the password for the admin account on your Workspace domain, well, we can help. And so just get in touch with our support team, click on the link down below, and our team will be able to help retrieve your account you can access that using our quick fix feature if you'd like some help. Okay, wonderful. All right. Cool. Thanks, Ali. Great to have you here. All right. Okay, 33 years old, not familiar with Google Workspace. How do I use Microsoft Excel with Google Workspace? Well, that is a good question. You want to do that through Google Drive. And so jump into Google Drive, open up a new sheet, and you're off to the races. If you would like to get started with some absolute basics on that, head along to our channel and you should be able to search for Google Sheets or Google Drive. And we've got some basic tutorial videos in there for you. But thank you joining on the thank you for joining on the live, Mr. Old School. All right, what do we have next? Sticks asks, I'm using an old Mac Mini that needs to be replaced, and I'm only using iTunes and Brave browsers. I'm thinking of switching to a Chromebox. Is it going to work? Is it going to be a torment? That's a pretty darn good question. So the answer to that is it's probably not going to be a good fit for you. iTunes, as far as I understand, only works on Mac computers. It's now called Apple Music, I think, and it does not run in the browser. And so you're not going to be able to install it on your Chrome device. And unfortunately, to my knowledge, there is no way to emulate a Mac OS on a Chrome device. And so you're not going to be able to do that. The Brave browser does work on Chromebooks and Chromeboxes. However, it only works by installing a Linux terminal on the Chrome device. And so you need to be a little bit geeky to get that working, but it is certainly possible. So iTunes is a no, Brave browser is a yes, with a little bit of geeking out and getting the Linux box installed on the Chrome device. Now, I would ask yourself, what other apps do you need to use? Are you going to be a good fit for Chrome? For most people, particularly if you're doing work and you're working on the cloud and most of your apps online, a Chrome device is a great fit for you. Whether you're using a Chrome box or a Chromebook, they give you access to all of Google's tools. You've got all your data synchronized to the cloud, which is excellent. But you've also got an amazing machine with great battery life, very fairly low cost. There's no viruses or spyware or malware that hangs around on them, and they're extremely secure machines as well. So it means they're excellent to roll out to businesses large and small for you and your employees. Okay, we have another question here from Mr. Old School. How do I take the videos that I have personally made that are long meetings I can't. Let me try and read the rest of the question. Shoot. It's actually not showing me. It's not showing me the whole question. Maybe you can let me know where you want to. Maybe you can let me know where you want to put them. Oh, hold on. I'll open the stream on YouTube. Let me do that. No. Okay. It's actually cut it. It's cut it right off. Maybe you can help me out there and let me know, and I'll. Oh, here we go. All right. Want to put them on an external hard drive because most teachings are 1 to 2 hours. And I'm not sure exactly where they're going. Let me try and answer this question for you. If you have a large amount of files and you want to store them now, whether they are recordings of teachings, whether they're YouTube videos, whether they're content that you're creating, my personal opinion is the best place to store them is on Google Drive. Instead of going to external devices, NAS drives, or any other kind of like third-party apps or applications. My recommendation is to put everything in Google Drive and then use a third-party backup tool to back up Google Drive. Now, why is that important? Why is it important to have a backup for Google Drive? Well, it's very, 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 very unlikely that Google is going to lose any of your data. We have 25,000 end users that we manage across our company, across thousands of organizations that we support. And I can't say in the 10 years that I've been working that I've ever had someone have a file disappear from their Google Drive or have Google data servers have a data center crash and lose files that way. But what I have seen many, many times is user error deleting files. And what that usually looks like is a contractor going into the Google Drive and deciding to clean things up, and they've shared things with you and they're the owner of the files, and so the files disappear from your My Drive. Or potentially you have someone who's working away in their own Google Drive and they decide to just delete the old stuff, or you have an employee leave and maybe they're a malicious leaver and they delete stuff on the way out, on their way out the door. And so we've seen all those things happen fairly regularly. In extreme cases, we've had business owners who are also married who are having some kind of feud and are locking each other out of accounts and changing DNS settings and switching off emails, and those kind of situations can get very messy as well. Unfortunately, we seem to have about one of those a quarter, which is pretty crazy. But my recommendation is therefore to have not only Google storing all of your information, but also a third-party solution like Backupify or Spanning that will actually back up your data outside of Google Drive as well. Now, we actually allow customers to get access to a number of free licenses for Backupify just for being a concierge member. So if you're interested in that, click on the link down below and go ahead and check out our concierge service on our website, because we believe that every business should have access to a backup for their Google Drive. But why would you not just leave those files stored on a local machine? Well, personally, I've had hard drives fail over the years. And for many people, they think that having just one USB stick or one USB drive with their files stored, that constitutes a backup. Well, unfortunately, in technical speak, your data is only actually safe if you have it in more than one, ideally geographically distributed location at the same time. And so to have a backup, you actually need to have multiple disks, and ideally you should be rotating them, and you need to have one offsite all the time and taking them back and forward. You get the idea that it tends to turn into a little bit of a mess. And I know that human nature is, having worked with thousands of business owners, that you do something once, but you're probably going to forget to do it consistently over time in the future. Now, that also extends to devices like network storage device. So a NAS drive, as they're called, means that you can have everything sitting on one device in your office or in your studio, and that even may be synchronizing to Google Drive online as well. But personally, I'm against these because the kind of things that can start to go wrong with them are maybe the synchronization fails and stops working. You miss an email, so you don't get an alert to know that it's not synchronized. Something happens, your office burns down, power outage, power surge, device gets corrupted, someone breaks in and steals something. Unfortunately, we see these kind of things all the time. And then poof, there goes your business data. And so my very strict policy is that we use Google Drive for everything. We use the file stream feature, which allows us to not fill up our local computers with all the data sitting in our business Google Drive. We just beam it straight up to Google Drive, and then we make sure that Google Drive is also backed up as well to make sure that we've got the human element covered. And that is my strong recommendation for where you store all of your files, no matter how large they are. I was actually looking at my own personal Google Drive just today as I was uploading some files, and I worked out that I actually have over 8 terabytes of data sitting in my own Google Drive inside my personal Google Workspace account for myself and my family. And that's a crazy amount of data, but it never skips a beat. It's always fast to upload and download. And because I'm using the file stream feature, it means that all 8 terabytes doesn't have to be downloaded to my computer as I'm trying to get my work done. So that's my recommendation on storing large files in Drive. All right, wonderful. Oh, the questions are rolling in. Thanks so much for joining us. Heaps here from Ali. Okay, cool. Question here from Ali. Do you know of a good solution to record, transcribe, and organize and share audio convos and meetings and notes? Well, I will say that there is a great tool called Otter. And Otter, I believe it's otter.ai, allows you to actually transcribe your meetings automatically. It can pull out points from your meetings, and it actually integrates nicely with Google Meet as well, which is pretty cool. And what that does is it picks up different voices. It can pick up to-do items, and it can even pick up things like business names and brand names, and it allows you to collaborate after you've got the meeting finished as well. So I'd recommend you check out Otter. That's OTTER.ai. And that tool is pretty darn cool. Very, very fancy tool that allows you to get access to supercharging your meetings. Now, we also use a tool called Dialpad, and Dialpad is our online cloud-based phone system. What Dialpad actually does is connects in with our Google accounts and allows us to have a completely cloud-based phone system which runs our whole business. Now, I'll show you what Dialpad looks like on my Chromebook here. I'm going to go ahead and switch to Dialpad. And if I go to our company line here, Where's IT Genius's mainline? I can actually see all of the calls coming in and out of my business. So I can see whether they're inbound, whether they're outbound. I can see who picked up the call, and I can potentially even see a transcript of the call from here. Can I? Yes, I can. Look at that. There we go. So I can see a call's gone out from Liam. I can see who they called, and I can even see a transcription of the call there as well. So Dialpad is an absolutely phenomenal application for your business phone system. We have a completely remote team. We've got over 50 staff, and we have all over the world team members using that to call our customers. And you get unlimited calling for a fixed fee per month. As well as the AI features, you get all the standard features of a standard business phone system. And so, yeah, go ahead and jump on that. If you're interested in that, we are a global partner for Dialpad. Jump on the link down below on our website and we'll get you hooked up with a test drive. Okay, we have another question here. We use Google Workspace for our small team, though we're not using it to its capabilities, but we want to get the other team more used to it rather than the old school Word documents. How do we handle this? How do we best get our team to adopt without being a nag or overwhelming them with features? This is a great question, Annie, and I'm really glad that you asked it because this is one of the things that I'm actually really passionate about, and that's why our company exists. It's helping business owners to get more out of their investment in Google Workspace and helping you and your team to adopt this platform more so that you can get more out of it. Now, one of my recommendations when you're making the switch from Microsoft over to Google is to make sure to make it easier for your team that you switch over all of your document templates. So all of the day-to-day documents that you tend to use inside the business. Now, most businesses will have like a contact list of key contacts or maybe a supplier list sitting in a spreadsheet. Maybe not the best place to put it, but most companies have one anyway, right? Most people will have like a slide deck template or a proposal template or a pricing sheet template. And right now, if all of those templates are sitting in Microsoft format, your team are probably going to be lazy and just continue going back to those templates right now. So when you switch those over to Google format, and when I, for example, open up my slides interface here, so I can go to slides.google.com and open up all of my slides presentations, you'll see here right at the top when I go to start a new presentation, I've actually got a blank presentation here with our branded slide deck. And I click on that, it creates a new presentation for me, and it gives me all of my templated slides here. You can see with all of our branding intact and everything else that I need to make that happen. And so that's what my recommendation would be as step number one, is to make sure that you have all of your templates actually changed over. And then secondly, you want to make sure that you run some education sessions. Now, depending on the size of your business, most of our transitions happen in larger businesses where we recommend that you actually have a person who is designated as a Google guru, right? And this might be like a Gen Y person in your business who's really savvy with all the Google tools. And you want that Google guru to be like the go-to person inside your company to help others adopt the software. Now, whether they are championing something new, whether they're running like a little 2-minute tips session at the start of your weekly meetings, whether they're literally creating new business processes inside Google Workspace and then rolling them out and educating the team using a change management process, that Google Guru is going to be your best friend. So it's not just directives coming from you, the boss, to use Google Workspace and adopt it more, but it's also coming from colleagues on the same level as your other staff as well. They're probably going to be more likely to listen. And rather than them bothering you, the boss, if they have questions, you want them to be asking each other as well. So that's the other reason why it's great to have a Google guru on the team. So that's number two, making sure you're getting some engagement with the team. Number three, I would recommend you get your team onto Genius Academy. So this is actually a free training program. We give this away for free. You can jump on the link down below this video and click onto our transfer in offer. And if you transfer your billing into IT Genius, it doesn't cost you any extra. You just bill your Google Workspace account through us, but we give you access to a bunch of freebies in there. One of those being Genius Academy, which has a number of basic courses, which are video courses which teach people the basics on how to get through each one of the apps. And I would recommend you either do those as a team together, or you can assign them as homework for your team to do them one-on-one. But it is challenging for people to, go and learn new things, especially via video these days. Everyone's attention spans are so short. So it might be the kind of thing that maybe you or a champion inside the business learns, and then you teach it to the rest of the team. Most of Google Workspace is pretty basic, but like everything new, it's just a matter of being taught and shown something new for the first time to get things really comfortable. Now, one of the things that you might like to check out inside Genius Academy is my inbox management course. And this is basically an educational course to teach you how to use Gmail to get your inbox down to zero every single day, how to set up the right filters, how to set up the right folders, how to set up all the right rules, and how to manage your daily practices of inbox management to make sure that you're not clogged up in your inbox each day. And most people that I've taught that methodology to actually have saved between 30 and 40 minutes per day in their mailbox if they're spending multiple hours working on email. And so I would recommend that you do that course and start teaching your team some of the tips from that course because they're usually the ones that get people really excited, especially if they have grumbles moving over from Outlook over to the Google ecosystem. Now, when I was a young lad, 10 years ago, when I was helping organizations make the switch from Microsoft over to Google, and I was the guy literally jumping on planes, flying to different customers' offices and helping them with their go live day, when we would have a switch from Microsoft over to Google, it would be my job to sit in a boardroom and I'd have 15 people crowded around me. And I'd have to let them know that we were switching from Outlook over to Gmail today. And here's how you use Gmail, and here's some of the best features. Let me tell you, that was challenging in some of those rooms because, you'd have old Donna in the corner, the boomer who's been using Outlook for 15 years and doesn't want to give it up. And I've got to, convince them to get excited about using Gmail. And so what I then had to do was find all the best and most exciting bits about this application and, try and hit those points with people that I wanted to convince to move across. And that's what I put into Genius Academy. So that's there for free. Jump on the link below, jump on the transfer in offer, and you'll get access to that. Thanks very much for the question. All right, cool. Okay, Tally, I'm not an admin, but I use your videos for tips and tricks for personal use. Awesome. I'm so glad that you said that. Please make sure you drop any questions to me on socials, on Instagram if you want. You can jump on my links down below and connect with me on socials. If there's anything that I can create a video on to be helpful for you, I would love to do that. So if you've got any ideas, please go ahead and send it across. All right, another one here from Old School. Not big with computers, I work with power tools. No worries, you are welcome. This is literally for you to ask questions. I didn't actually have many pre-prepared questions lined up because I ran out of time to pull them together. So ask away. This is what these streams are for, and they get very boring when I'm by myself. So I'm glad that there are lots of people here. So thank you for joining. Okay, what are your minimum recommended CPU and RAM specs for professionals using a Chromebook? That is a wonderful question, Lindsay. Thank you so much for asking it. What I will say is that Chrome devices are very efficient with their hardware. And what I mean by that is because you're effectively just running a Chrome browser, it's an extremely cut down and lightweight operating system. There's really not much for the machine to need to move around except for literally loading the tabs that you've got open in the browser and maybe a few file operations from time to time. I probably wouldn't buy any computer these days with less than 4 gigabytes of RAM. That would be the absolute minimum. And for most users who are information workers working in an office at a desk, not opening more than 3 to 5 tabs at a time, that's going to be absolutely fine on a Chrome device. If you're using multiple screens with a laptop plugged into an external monitor, okay, maybe you want to throw a little bit more at it. But RAM is really going to be mostly limited or consumed by the number of tabs that you have open. Now, if you're a power user or you're the kind of person who likes to have 10 tabs open or 15 tabs open or 20 tabs open, okay, well then, yes, you absolute minimum, you want to be running 8 gig of RAM, and you can even configure machines up to 16 or 30 gig of RAM if you like. Google is pretty efficient with any tabs that are running in the background. But if you're like me and you want a machine that runs at blistering pace and is never going to slow you down, then you might want to dish out for a little bit more. Now, I upgraded my Chromebox. I'm currently using an Asus Chromebox 3, and it came with 8 gigabytes of RAM, which was pretty decent. But I actually spent $100 and that was Australian dollars, and upgraded that to 32 gigabytes of RAM, and even put in a larger solid state drive as well. So it's now got 256 or maybe even 512, I can't remember, gig of storage space on the machine as well, which gives it just a lot more bandwidth to kind of stretch its legs with storage space, but also with RAM as well. But for most people, unless they are an ADHD entrepreneur like I am, you can get away with 4 gig of RAM as the minimum is good for most people. But thank you very much for the question. All right. Okay, cool. We've got another question here. Do you have free classes for individuals who are not familiar with it or are willing to learn all about this technology? We don't have any free classes. We do have a Google Workspace Basics Bootcamp coming up. That's in October. If you head along to our website, it may not even be announced on the website, but look out for the announcement in the next week. We'll be making that. Just watch our socials. We'll be putting plenty of links out to that. But that's just a couple $100. It is aimed at business owners though. And so I would recommend, if you're just new and you're starting out, then maybe have a chat to our team about getting access to Genius Academy. You will need to have a business account. This is designed for business owners, but if you want to sign up for an account just with one license, that's absolutely fine with us. Just cost you $8 a month. And then we can get you access to Genius Academy, and you can get into our learning portal. Apart from that, the Google Workspace channel on YouTube has heaps of videos for beginners on there as well. And there's plenty of other tutorials around the place. By all means, watch all of our videos too, because we've got heaps of content that's going to apply to consumers using Gmail, as well as business owners using Google Workspace as well. Okay, cool. All right, yeah, thanks, Ali. Okay. Okay. Yes, workplace tab hoarders. Yeah, there's a couple of Lindsay. There's a couple of plugins and stuff that you can roll out to help people if they're tab hoarders. But yeah, some people have some real problems, huh? Look, my opinion is, if you're sitting down at a computer and you're doing 6 to 8 hours of work per day in front of it, like, spend the $100 and upgrade the RAM. Because it's just going to stop the frustration of tabs having to reload in the background and all those kind of things. Okay, cool. No worries, Ali. I'm glad that I can share on tab like this. Okay, cool. Yeah, look, there's no downside to switching billing through to us. Yeah, get your boss on board. There's a bunch of freebies to get on board with that. Oh my God, guys, I'm so stoked with how many people are online. I've got to do more of these in this time zone. This is great. Okay, cool. So let me get another question up here. Is there a way? And look, at some point we're gonna reach a point where I'm not going to get to all the questions. So you guys we're in the golden days of this channel at the moment, because the channel is certainly growing. We're picking up speed. So you guys have got access to me as much as you want right now. Okay, so is there a way that Google can let me know when trucks come into our warehouse and they use CBs and handheld radios when checking in, and then it can come into the computer? Good question. This is not my particular area of expertise, but knowing enough about tech and IT systems, what I would say is that the best way to achieve that would be to use the something like a logistics management application that would do like GPS tracking. And I assume that would in some way, visualize where you have assets, in this case, trucks coming in and out of a warehouse. Now, is Google Workspace the most appropriate place to visualize that using the Google Maps API or, the Google mapping technology? I don't know necessarily. That's probably something that I would chat to maybe like a productivity or technology consultant who is specifically attuned to your particular industry, which I personally am not. And I would ask them about software and tracking tools. I probably wouldn't expect that to be Google Workspace to be the best place to do that, though. You'd probably find something else. Okay, we have a question from Boudica. I have to delete a user since they are offboarding, trying to migrate their email to another user, but the new user and I are both worried how it will show up in the new user's mailbox. That is a wonderful question. I've got a number of videos where I cover the offboarding process of staff inside Google Workspace. Our strong recommendation is that you actually sign up to our concierge and have our team do it for you, because we use third-party tools which allow it to run smoother. But my recommendation is not actually to do that inside your user's account. I don't recommend that you actually migrate from one user straight into another user. What I do recommend you do instead is migrate all of your past users in the company into an archive user account. And so you'll see here, I've got all the users in my business here, and I have one called IT Genius Archive. And that archive basically, as you can see here, it's got 50 odd gigabytes of storage consumed there. That's got a hell of a lot of users' mail in there. And that's basically all the mail from the past users inside our business. Now, to access that, instead of having to remember the username and password for that particular user, what I actually use is the Delegated Mailboxes feature. And the Delegated Mailboxes feature allows me to access a mailbox without actually, excuse me, the Delegated Mailboxes feature allows me to access a user's mailbox without actually knowing their password. So inside my email here, let me move my picture, I can go down to the IT Genius archive, I can open that up, and there I can see all of the archive mail from all of the previous users from my company. I don't need to know the password for that account, but it just shows me all of the mail. Now you can see here on the left-hand side, it actually gives me labels with all of the individual email addresses for everybody's past emails that have been added in there. And it helps if my camera is not blocking that. So let me move that. So there you go. That's where all of our previous employees will live, inside of that mailbox. And that's what it's going to look like when we do the migration there. So that's the best practice for migrating users. If you want to learn more about how to set up delegated mailboxes, we do have other videos on that on our channel if you search there, but that's also something that we cover in our Google Basics Bootcamp, which is going to be coming up soon. And so make sure you check that out. Thank you very much for the question. Okay. I'm going to find some more questions here. Hey, Daniel, great to see you, mate. Daniel is our top commenter on the channel. Do we have any experience using AWS as a backup for Google Drive? No, I do not have any personal experience with that. My strong recommendation is to backup Google Drive, that you use either Backupify or Spanning. They are two proprietary software tools that are designed to work specifically with Google Workspace, and they don't just back up Google Drive, but they back up the whole of your Google Workspace ecosystem, including things like chats and sites and all the other bits and pieces that they can get their hands on with the API. Now, if you're interested in a license to back up your Workspace account, if you join Concierge, you actually get a free license, or a number of free licenses, I believe, to Backupify to protect your accounts on a complimentary basis from IT Genius. So if you're interested in that, jump on the link down below, and that is our strong recommendation. Now, why should you back up Google Drive, and why do you even need a backup for Google Drive? Well, we've covered that many times on the channel before, and basically the most common reason that someone would lose data is due to user error. And that basically stops you from getting caught out by user error. Okay, we have a question here. Our Workspace accounts are currently under contract. Is there a way to purchase the Genius Academy while we wait for the contract to end? Yes, there absolutely is. Just put in a request to our team, schedule a call with them, and they have a process for that if you are still under contract, either with Google or someone else. And I believe they'll give you immediate access to Genius Academy in the meantime. I think you just have to pinky promise to transfer your licenses in when they come up for renewal. Okay. We have a question here from Eric. I thought the point of owning a Chromebook is to store your files in Google Drive. What's the point in upgrading the storage on a local machine? Excellent question. My strong recommendation is that if you are using a Chromebook or a Chromebox, is that you just store everything online. And every single file that I use is stored in Google Drive. Now, from time to time, I will plug in a USB device, whether it's a GoPro camera, whether it's files that I've pulled out of my recording studio here, and they will be 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 gigabytes worth of files, and they will then need to be uploaded to my Google Drive. And so in the interim, I want to have them stored on my local device because it's going to make that upload faster rather than leaving the USB device plugged in and every now and again they crash or have problems or whatnot. And so that's the reason why I chose to upgrade the local storage on my Chrome box. It just gives me that additional space to be able to upload files. But I am a true believer in the philosophy of not storing any file locally on a device that you wouldn't be happy to have the device wiped and the file gone. And so I don't store a single file on local devices that I don't have synchronized to Google Drive somehow. And if you are using Google Workspace and you're rolling out Chrome devices to your team, you can actually set inside your Google Chrome policies, if you're using device management under your domain, so that each user has all of their files backed up to their own personal Google Drive. So that means if they download something to the downloads folder, if they save something on the local machine, anything they do locally on that Chrome box will actually be automatically uploaded to their own personal Google Drive. So there is a full backup of absolutely everything there. And it's kind of like a completely foolproof end user experience. In the old days, we had to, run individual backup software on individual staff computers on Macs or PCs just to make sure that they didn't actually lose any files. And so this is a great way of just with one button, clicking that on right inside your admin console. And I can actually show you where that is. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to jump into my device management here. And so inside my Google admin.google.com, we'll go to devices, and then we're going to go to Chrome, and we're going to go to Chrome settings and then device settings. And this is where we set our policies. Now, you're going to have your devices enrolled as a managed device. There is an enrollment process for each one of your devices, and you need to also pay for a device license to make sure that you have that as well. But once you've got that done, let's go ahead and search for the word drive. Oh, and I can't find drive. Okay, let's find storage. See, now it's going to make a liar out of me. Maybe it's in the user session settings. Now we can do it without device management. Hold on. Device settings. Yeah, let's try user settings. Where is it? Got it. Okay, wonderful. So here's the setting I'm talking about. So under user experience, you can see here that download location for downloaded files is currently set with Google Drive as the default, but you can allow the end user to change it. And so I can actually click onto this drop down and I can choose to force that users actually have to use Google Drive for any of their downloaded files. Now, what this looks like inside your settings on a Chrome box is when I go to my Chrome settings here, and let me just search for downloads. Oh, of course, it's not going to show up for me here, is it? Demos always make a liar out of me. Okay, let's try Chrome settings. All right, cool. Okay, so downloads here inside Chrome settings, location. Right now they are set inside my Drive, but see how there's this little building here? That little building there means that there is the potential for a Chrome policy to be set for this particular setting. So anytime you're hunting around inside Chrome or you're hunting around inside a Chrome box or a Chromebook, anytime you see that little building there, that means that your administrator has the potential to actually change this and set a policy. So right now I have the option to change it, but if I wanted to apply this policy that I've set inside my admin panel, it's actually going to force that download location to be Google Drive, which means that any of the user's downloads are automatically going to be backed up and that device will be 100% backed up. So very cool. If you're interested in more Chrome policies like that, I've got other videos on the channel specifically about Chrome policies and all the cool things that they can do. If you are in a large or medium-sized organization and you want to roll out Chrome devices, Chrome policy will save you bacon, does some amazing stuff and allows you to manage those devices with ease. Wonderful. All right, cool. I have so many questions here. Okay. You know what, Ali? I'm hoping to be the next live stream sensation. You know what? There is a micro niche for everything on YouTube, and I've found the micro niche for people who care about Google Workspace. My God, I didn't think I'd find it, but we have. Okay, cool. Okay, cool. I'm getting lots and lots of business questions here from Old School. What I would say is probably check out my podcast. There is heaps of general business advice on my podcast. And so that is rising.show. I'm not currently recording any new episodes at the moment, but I think you'd be interested to check that out. That will give you some general updates, on kind of like my business philosophies and how I run things here as well, which I think will be useful for you. Also, if you're interested in our Genius Academy, what we have also done is we created a course called the Remote Work Playbook. And so when COVID happened, everyone was forced to start running their businesses from home. We had actually been running our business remotely for 6 years prior to COVID happening. And so everyone working from home individually, over 50 people across the group, multiple companies, multiple management executive teams, blah, blah, blah. And so we'd already ironed out a lot of the challenges of running things remotely. And what we did was we did a 6 or maybe even an 8-week webinar series. And we actually unpacked our whole business on how we actually run things operationally. And we gave that to our customers for free as they were transitioning to remote work. So we now give that to you if you join our Genius Academy. So that's free. Jump on the transfer in offer on the link below. And you can get access to that video series, which was really cool. Still very relevant here in 2022. All right, cool. Ali, if you hit me up on Instagram, I'll send you an IT Genius t-shirt. We've got some, so I'll send them off to you. All right. Wonderful. I can get to my next question. Cool. Finally. Okay. So Matthew asks, why not use Android instead of iOS? If you use Google that much, it would just work more seamlessly with an Android device and a Windows device. I don't know about that. Love to hear your response. So let me cover that. I'm going to first talk about Android, and then I'm going to talk about Windows. Now, I was an Apple fanboy from when I was a teenager. My parents had Apple machines. I was a gamer as well, so I had Windows machines for gaming. But then I, got into Apple machines because I liked video editing and graphic design and that kind of stuff. And I liked the aesthetic of Apple computers. I also liked the fact that they just worked. And then, as I got an iPhone, which they were released kind of towards the end of my high school years, and started building a business, I still kept to my Macs. But one of our strategic advantages was that while we were consulting to small business owners, we found that many of their staff and employees had Windows machines, but business owners and entrepreneurs who were really cool would buy iPhones and then eventually would buy Macs. And so we'd end up with these hybrid environments. And that was actually one of our first niches in our business, was being able to do IT support for both Mac and PC hybrid environments. Now, then Google Workspace came along and we started becoming experts in Workspace. And then from there, we were primarily working in the Google ecosystem, but still making it work with Macs and PCs. Now, what does that have to do with my choice of mobile phone? Well, I stuck with Apple for a long time because it just worked really nicely with all of the Google apps. They were written really well, and the Apple operating system was great. But eventually I got to the point where I decided that I wanted to try out Android, and I actually chose to buy a OnePlus phone because it had a dual SIM setup, and I was spending a lot of the time traveling back and forth to the Philippines where our team are, and I was able to use multiple SIM cards, and it made my life really easy. The things I loved about Android is Android for Work is an absolutely phenomenal application. And let me bring that up for you and show you what that looks like. So Android for Work is basically an option for you. It looks like they've renamed it Android Enterprise since I've used it last. But it's a really awesome option that allows you to actually have multiple device profiles on your device, one being for work and one being for your personal information. And I'm glad that they have this image here because I want to show you exactly what it looks like. So you'll see here that some of these icons have a little briefcase next to them, and that means they are a work app. And then the ones without a briefcase are your personal apps. And so what Android for Work does is it creates this like sandboxed environment where you have all your work apps and all your work data in one place, and you have all of your personal apps and your personal data in another place. And what that saves is if you're in work chat and you go to upload a photo of a work site, for one of our customers who's maybe like a plumbing or electrical or trade services business, you don't want to accidentally upload a picture of something, just something naughty, right? But none of us are taking those photos anyway, so it doesn't matter. But you get my point. And so what this actually does is it lets you have this walled garden where you have a separate set of apps. The other great thing about that is it allows you to install a work profile on staff phones without them getting their work stuff and their personal stuff mixed up, so they don't feel invaded using work profiles in their personal space. It's really important when your staff members go home of an evening that they have proper switch off time. And we're really passionate about really great work-life balance. We all have mobile devices and we're all semi-expected to be on call in some way on these devices because all of our stuff is just there and we can work from any one of these devices. But that can create pretty damaging patterns for employees who then feel like they are always on and always switched on. Now, for entrepreneurs, that's fine because we're crazy and we own the business and we're kind of stuck being switched on all the time. But for your team members, a feature like formerly Android for Work, now called Android Enterprise, they can actually click one button and switch off the work profile, and it actually hides all of the work apps. So they can do that at the end of the day, switch off, and it will literally switch all of those apps. And that's why I initially switched to Android. And I was with Android for a number of years. I loved the phone. It was a great machine, but there were some challenges with it. One of those challenges was like a Windows device compared to a Mac device, it was just that little bit buggier. Every now and again, it would have little crashes. It would do weird things in the apps. Every now and again, it would load slowly. Every now and again, some of the apps would be janky or they wouldn't quite be perfectly designed for the size of the screen that I was on. And so what that meant was that it just wasn't an amazing user experience. And I yearned to go back to the Apple ecosystem where things just worked. The other thing that was really interesting was, let's say going back 3, 4, 5 years ago, Google's voice recognition was much, much better than Siri. It was really fantastic. But I started having all these bugs inside the app inside of Android. And maybe it was because of OnePlus and they had a custom version of Android. But for whatever reason, I had real challenges working with it. And I had tried Pixel phones as well. So it's not like I hadn't had the Google experience. But eventually I decided I was going to go back to iOS. Now, that's not to say that I don't still love my Chrome OS devices. I wouldn't want to use a Mac computer or a Windows computer as my daily driver for work because Chrome OS is even more solid than Mac OS. It is cut down, it is lightweight, it is fast, it is amazingly secure. It's the only thing I trust for any of my crypto portfolio. Chrome OS is absolutely amazing for business because it gives you that simplistic experience of just purely focusing on your work without distraction, without bloatware, and without other things bugging you. But that's the very, very long version of why I switched from Android back to iOS. And to be honest, Google's version of their apps on Apple devices run just as well as they do on Android. I missed out on that cool Android for Work feature, but they are very cool devices. Now, why don't I use a Windows machine? Because my God, they bug the crap out of me. There's just too many things going on Windows, and the updates are slow, and things are a mess. I've got many other videos on our channel about Chrome OS and how amazing it is, and I recommend you check them out if you want to learn more about that. All right, cool. Wonderful. What have we got next? Okay. Okay, taking a lot of notes. Thank you. That is awesome. I am glad I am a lot of help. Yeah, I can understand that. Apples are, they're like everything. They're a learning experience. Okay, so oops, maybe hide that. Ashley asks, feeling a part of the company has always been the biggest challenge for our team, especially from Asian countries when we are working remotely. Communication is a big challenge. So using Slack, Time Doctor, ClickUp, they're helping to make communication easy, but there's still room for improvement. How can we bridge the gap? So if you're running a remote company right now and you're looking to have your team feel like they're working more closely together, you've got to do a few extra things on top of what it would be like just sitting with a team in an office. Now, if you don't know where we've come from, my name is Peter Moriarty, and I'm the founder of a company called IT Genius. And we actually started working remotely full-time with our team 6 years before the COVID pandemic hit. And we were inspired by the two gentlemen who are the co-founders of Basecamp.com, who wrote a book called Remote. And in that book, they actually laid out kind of the blueprint for how to run a business remotely. Now, from the start, I wanted to build an international business and I wanted to build an international team, but I didn't want to have to, launch a bunch of different offices in different cities and have all the capital overhead of actually doing that. And so we decided to allow our team to work from home. And we now have a team of over 50 across multiple companies in our group that all work from wherever they want to work, whether that's traveling, whether that's from home, whether that's from co-working spaces, or sometimes they even buddy up and work together as well. Now, primarily our team are based in the Philippines, but we also have a pretty decent team in Australia as well. So we also have the cross-cultural element of managing a remote team where people are coming from different countries, different perspectives, different family lives, different economic situations, vastly different economies. And so we've got all of that to integrate. So here's some of the key things that I've learned over the years of making that run swimmingly and having everyone, feel like they're part of a team. Rule number one is to treat a remote or geographically distributed team as if you are all in the same office. And what I mean by that is you're going to have to find ways to create the cultural elements of an office remotely. And so what are the kind of things that you tend to have in an office? Well, you're probably going to have at a water cooler, or maybe you're going to have a local cafe that people walk to and grab a coffee, and they're going to have normal kind of idle chit-chatty conversations on the way there, right? So how do you recreate that? Well, we created a water cooler chat thread inside Google Chat, and we actually use that to throw everybody into and allow them to basically talk shit with each other. And so if I open up our water cooler here, you can see here that we've got, there we go. I think there's like some kind of selfie competition going on there. We had, the team ran a Glam Party, it looks like, lately. I'm not sure what these are. That looks like the thread with the ladies. I have no idea what that is. Sometimes we're talking about internet speeds. Looks like some of the team visited Google there. One of the team presenting, so they're posting some updates there. So that's what that thread's for. It's basically like for the water cooler where you post up, personal wins. Someone might post something about their plants or their pets or their cooking or their travel or what they did on the weekend. That all goes inside the water cooler thread. And it's basically an anything goes thread for the team to post stuff up. Now, one of the other things that you would have noticed in there is that the team held a Glam Party. And that is actually one of our institutions, which is called TGIT. Thank God it's Thursday, which is every fortnight we actually hold a Thursday afternoon social catch up with the whole team. And that's just one big hangout meet. And the team will jump on that and we will either play games or do activities or watch a movie together. Or, if we've got newbies who have just joined the company, we'll actually do a newbie initiation, which is a surprise talent quest. And so that TGIT is an institution in our business where we bring the team together for the equivalent of like Friday night drinks or Friday night activities that you would normally have inside a business. And so that's really important. Now, what about the other bits of, dealing with the isolation of people working remotely or working at home? You're going to have to do additional overhead in your HR to actually make sure that the team are both performing well, but also feeling great about the work that they're doing too. And so our team will do extra one-on-one check-ins. They will do extra happiness surveys for the team. They will do extra initiatives to get the team engaged in feeling like they're doing things with the rest of the company. And one of those was a wellness challenge. For the last month, we've been doing burpees every day. And we started with 3 burpees, and then we ended up doing like 30 burpees a day, which was pretty crazy. But we had to basically like film ourselves and then post it up in the thread in chat and send it off to the team. And they're the kind of things that help the team to feel connected, even though they're geographically dispersed. So what I would say to you is to try and find ways to connect the team together, no matter what they're doing remotely and no matter where you are remotely, to bring people together. But most importantly, you are going to need some face-to-face human time from time to time. Now, when we were a small company, less than 10 people, we would fly everyone into one location 4 times a year, have a good time together, go out, have dinner, get drunk, do some karaoke together. And that was our way of bringing the team together on a social basis. And what that would do would be to allow us to build those very human bonds of being in the same room as each other. As the company grew, it became a little bit expensive to do that 4 times a year. So we just do that once a year now. And the other few times when we meet up during the year, what we do is actually city meetups. And so for our team that are most primarily dispersed across the Philippines, we'll have meetups in 3 of the major cities, Davao, Cebu, and Manila. And the team will each kind of find their way to those city meetups. And then we will all connect on a virtual meeting and then do our virtual hangout. And a lot of that time is spent doing activities, doing things online. I've got other videos on the channel about how you can connect your remote teams. So if you just search for the word team on our channel, you'll find videos like what games you can play online, using Meet or Zoom to connect with your team. You'll find, ways that we connect our team with other activities as well in, having them feel connected via culture. And number 3, I've got a video up there on some of the mistakes on managing remote teams as well. So hopefully that is useful. Cool. Yes, and Atlassian also have excellent content, founded in Sydney, which is where I'm from, just down the road from me. And Daniel Heinmer Hansen, is it Daniel? No, David, and Jason from Basecamp also wrote a great book called Rework. But Remote is the remote work book that they wrote, which was a follow-up to that one. Okay, what is your opinion on taking Apple songs off iTunes that are encrypted? Would you suggest to put them on an external hard drive or compact CDs? I don't know if you can put them on either. I would suggest you stick to keeping them on your iPhone. That's probably the easiest way to access those. Okay, final question. And so after this question, I'm just going to open Q&A, and then I'll finish up after we conclude this one. Thanks so much, y'all, for staying. If you've stayed this long. Michael has asked, is there anything special that needs to be done to get Workspace to work perfectly on Apple devices without having to use each Workspace product with an app? Or is it a matter of just purchasing Workspace and then using it in the browser? Do I have to use Chrome, or can I use the Safari browser? You can certainly use the Safari browser if you wish, if you're using a Mac computer. Most of the apps work absolutely fine, but there are a number of advantages of using Google Chrome. Number one is they are better optimized for Chrome, and so most of the Google Workspace apps are going to work just that little bit faster or a little bit better in Chrome. You're going to find less bugs or less challenges, but also you get some of the cool Chrome policies that you can actually apply to your Chrome devices. And so that might be having a set of managed bookmarks where you define the bookmarks that you want to have available to everyone in your company, or you want to set a specific homepage for everyone, or you want to restrict certain sites, or maybe you want to push down certain apps or certain plugins to everybody in the company's Chrome browser. All that needs to be done using Google Chrome and using Google Chrome policies. So our strong recommendation is that everyone uses Google Chrome inside the company. Now, if you're using Mac OS machines, and you are thinking of synchronizing your Google Workspace account to Mac Mail and synchronizing your calendar to Apple Calendar, I would say stop right there. Do not do it. Most of the issues that we see on local machines are because of these third-party synchronization apps trying to work with Workspace. You are missing out on all of the best features of Workspace if you're synchronizing it to Mac Mail or to Google Calendar, or to Mac Calendar, because all of the best features live in the web versions of the apps. When you're using Gmail online, you've got the ability to use all of Gmail's filters. You can use all of the keyboard shortcuts. You can automatically store mail. You can automatically filter mail. The spam filter is amazing. You don't have to download emails to your local computer because they're compressed because they're online. There are just so many advantages to working online, as well as being able to access all the rest of your enterprise suite of apps right from the one interface. Google, if you're spending a lot of time in email, are giving you everything you need in your main email window. And so when I open up my email inside my, let me go and see if I can actually open it up here, get the right link, Pete. When I open up my email, you'll see here that I've actually got everything I need from mail to chat to Spaces, which is all the different rooms where I have chat rooms set up with my team, all in the one place. And then on the right-hand side, you can see here that I've actually got my calendar set up. I can jump into Google Keep, and any of the third-party apps that I'm using, like Asana or Dialpad, or even jumping into my contacts or my Google Tasks, are all available right here on the right-hand side of my pane. That gives me everything in one place. The second reason I would not recommend that you download anything to your local computer on a Mac using Mail or Calendar, for Drive it's fine, but not for Mail or Calendar, is that there are synchronization issues that can happen pretty regularly as well. And so what we've seen over many, many years managing tens of thousands of employees using Google Workspace is that anytime you connect something like your calendar to an Apple Calendar, one day you're going to have synchronization issues. You put an event in your Apple Calendar and it doesn't go up to your Google Calendar, or vice versa. It's in Google Calendar, but it doesn't come down to your Apple Calendar. So I would just say, do not do it. The other thing is you may have set up folders in your calendar locally or your mail locally that don't get synchronized back up to Google, and then you lose your computer or it's not backed up properly, and all of a sudden you have the issue where you have lost data, and no business owner wants to lose data. That would be the end of the world, especially if a customer wants to sue you and you're trying to defend yourself. I've had that happen. Okay, so that's my answer for that one. I'm going to take a final couple of questions and then I'm going to disappear. Ali asked, do you recommend a whiteboarding tool for collaboration that works well for strategic branding exercises or plays? I strongly recommend Jamboard for that. I absolutely love Jamboard. You can head along to jamboard.google.com, and that actually opens up in a browser, and it also opens and works pretty well on your local desktop as well. And so if I open up a random jam here, I'll give you a little bit of a look at what we use it for. So this looks like some beautiful, amazing art that our team have done. No idea what this is about, but we often use this for team training and team initiatives, especially for social initiatives of our remote team as well, which is pretty cool. Looks like half of these are blank, but anyway, I think you get the idea. So we love using Jamboard for that. Meet have just integrated with another third-party tool, which the name escapes me, inside Google Meet for digital whiteboarding. Apparently that one is really awesome, but personally I'm pretty damn happy with Jamboard. And I happen to have a Jamboard sitting in my studio right behind me here, which I'm just waiting on a license, and we'll be using that in some demonstrations more soon. All right, cool. What else we got here? Okay. All right. Good stuff, Ali. Please come and visit Australia. You are always welcome. I live on the Gold Coast, so I live up north, a little bit further north than Sydney. But if you're in the Gold Coast and you want to have a cup of tea, drop me a message. Okay, what is a good starter exercise or two on Jamboard? That is a good question. So if you are interested in running like maybe a cultural event or cultural activity with your team using Google Jamboard, what might be some events that you could run? Well, one of the ones that we like to do is we create baseball cards for ourselves. So this is an activity that we do when each person joins our company. They will actually create a baseball card for themselves. I think sometimes they are done in Canva, but if you want to do more of a collaborative effort, then you can do that using something like Jamboard. Some of the other things that we use it for are when we do a conference. We will tend to split our team up into multiple teams, and when we split our team up into multiple teams, then we will have them complete activities. So it looks like this is a mindful morning suggestions list. This is an accomplishment list. That's pretty cool. This one is positive self-talk. All right, doing some flower craft. I love it. These guys, like, we go all out with our team building exercises. I've got to turn more of these into videos because there's so much good stuff in here. The one video that really blew up on our channel during COVID is the one on remote games for remote teams. Like it went crazy. Cool. All right. Thanks, guys. All right, here we go. Last question. What is my favorite peripheral or accessory for my Chrome devices? Let me say there is not much exciting that I have plugged into Chrome. Most of my job is meetings, taking notes in Asana. So I have a nice big 4K screen. That's probably the number one. That's probably the number one add-on for mine. But apart from that, like I've got my cameras and all that kind of stuff for the channel videos that I record here. Yeah, I've got a very Spartan and basic setup, and I can maybe show you guys with my second camera just to be a little bit extra. Here we go. So I'll show you this is what my studio looks like. Let's switch over. Oops, there we go. So I literally have a very basic desk. I've got my iPad there, keyboard, mouse. In the corner there, I've got my little Chromebook 3, and then yeah, very basic screen there. Anyway, so you get a little bit of look-see in there. I'll set up the camera a little bit better next time so you get a better look. All right, wonderful. Where's my Instagram? Just jump straight onto the link down below this video, or moriarty.co, and you'll find my Instagram there. Thank you so much for joining, everyone. If you joined the live stream, love you. Thank you for joining. Great to have you here live. Makes a lot more fun for me, and hopefully a lot more value for you as well. If you're watching the replay, drop us down a comment below. Let me know what was your most favorite, what was most interesting to you. We'll take the best bits of this and we'll turn it into videos and put them on the channel individually as well. So if you join late or if you missed anything, you'll get these in nice little cleanly edited snippets. And if you would like me to answer more questions for you in an upcoming video, please make sure that you drop me a message, jump onto my socials, drop me a message on Instagram, and let me know what your question is, and I'll add it to the list when we have the next ones coming up. Alrighty, well, until next time, I will see you guys soon. If you've not yet already joined up with IT Genius and started doing business with us, there's 3 or 4 ways that we can help you. We've got a free Facebook group, which is like a community group to ask questions. You can go and join that now just by clicking on the link down below. Number 2 is if you want to join our Basics Bootcamp that's coming up in October. Watch out for all of our channels as we start to announce that. That is basically designed for anyone who wants to get the most out of their Workspace subscription. And so we're here to help you make sure that you do that. Number 3, you can join us up for a free consultation if you're interested to do just a checkup on your account. Get some help with your Workspace account, see if you're using it correctly, see if there's anything that we can improve there. Very happy to help with that. And if you're interested to join Concierge, well, that is our premium support service, very affordable. We are about to put the price up. So if you're at all thinking about Concierge now, would be a great time to join. And that's basically a technology concierge service for not just Workspace, but a whole bevy of other tools as well, where we do support, consulting, implementations, staff onboarding and offboarding, fixing issues, cleaning up your DNS settings, cleaning up your Google Drive, auditing your files, setting up Chrome policies for you. Go read the sales page and see all the things that we can do. We are designed to help you get more out of your Workspace, and we will catch you in the next one. Look forward to it, and thank you so much for joining. Cheers.